Alright, first on our list, what we want to do is take our cubed butter, room temperature. We're going to place the butter in the bowl of the KitchenAid. Then what we want to do, lower it in, lock it, and what we're doing right now is we're creaming the butter. Okay? We want to get it all to a nice, smooth consistency. Alright? A lot of times what helps is if your butter's still a little bit too cold, you can rub the outside of your bowl because the heat from your hands will help the butter melt down a little bit and get softer. So once you see this nice consistency that you get here, it pretty much almost kind of already looks like buttercream frosting, that's when you know that you've got it nice and creamed to where you want it to be. I have my KitchenAid on 6 right now, the setting. Helps it go a little bit faster. And you can be rough with this recipe. It's not anything that has to be so delicate. It's fast, it's easy, and it's consistent. So, next thing we want to do, I like to crack my egg into a separate receptacle so that I don't have any eggshells in it, because that's the worst thing you can have is somebody eating your buttercream and saying, "Oh, this is so good," as they crunch on a shell. So, we're going to turn our KitchenAid back up to 6, and we are going to whisk this. Moved it up to about 7. We want to incorporate that egg with the butter. And the reason why we do that is because it adds to a firmer consistency of your buttercream, and your buttercream will stand up a lot better. Especially if you want to use it right away, because traditionally what you do is you want to refrigerate your buttercream. Sometimes you don't have time to do that. So once you hear the butter start to kind of make a slapping sound, then you know that you've gotten your egg in there and it's nice and whipped and it's incorporated. You can hear it. Cooking is about hearing, smelling, seeing, so that's one of those little things. If you can hear it whipping itself against the bowl, it's ready. So you want to turn it off, and always make sure you go through the stages on your KitchenAid. Don't just whip it back and forth. You'll tear your new best friend up. So what we want to do next is add our sugar. So a lot of people sift it. I don't. Takes up too much time. Time is what we all are trying to get back, right? So I take a cup, measuring cup. I have the 2 pounds of sugar here. Turn it on to about a number 2 and add it. Slowly. We're going to give it about a good 30 seconds between scoops. So that it can incorporate, especially since it isn't sifted. We don't want to have clumps and lumps and bumps while we're eating our buttercream, right? So just add it. And don't be afraid. You can speed the process up. Once you get your powdered sugar in there, speed it up a little bit. You know, don't be afraid. So we'll just keep incorporating this slowly but surely, taking steps in between to speed up our KitchenAid and get it nice and whipped in there. Because we want this to be very smooth, very rich, creamy. We want it to have all those nice words that we call buttercream, but the one word we don't want to call it is chunky. Alright, so continue until you have incorporated all of your sugar, and then we can move on to our next step. Okay, so now that we've gotten our buttercream to the consistency that we want and everything has been blended, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to turn it down to stir on our KitchenAid. And what I've done is pre-measured 1 tablespoon of almond milk. I prefer to use almond milk because it has a nice flavor. You can use whatever type of milk you like. You can use goat milk, evaporated milk, whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to stir in 1 tablespoon of almond milk. And adding the milk gives it a little bit of moisture so that it's nice and spreadable. And what we're going to do is get that all whipped in there. About 10 seconds. Next, what we're going to do, add our flavoring. So, since I'm using almond milk, I'm going to use the almond extract. You could very well use the banana extract if you'd like. You can use anything you want. You can use peppermint. You can use any extract that you like. I'm going to be consistent with my almond milk flavor, and I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. And this is going to be what everybody asks you, how did you make that taste that way? And it's up to you whether or not you want to tell them. So, now that I've got my almond extract in, I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Give it a nice whip. It's looking good. Next, just to be sure that I do not have any hidden sugar at the bottom, this is where this guy comes in, our rubber scraper. You're just going to take down the sides with your rubber scraper. Make sure you get to the bottom where anything could be hiding down there. My little buddies like to hide from me sometimes. Sugar. Okay, then what we're going to do, scrape that back into the bowl. See how we were getting a really beautiful consistency. You can't buy this in a can. So, next, give it a nice little whip. Make sure we've got everything incorporated that needs to be incorporated. And next, and this is the part where you got to be careful in case you have any friends or family around, because they'll be trying to lick the spoon and lick the bowl and fighting over who gets it and all that mess. So, what we have here is a nice, fluffy, you want that consistency that just drops right off of the spoon but also coats it. So, we are on track for our next step, which is going to be piping this icing onto our cupcakes and then decorating.